Barb Mandrell was more than just a country music star in the 1970s and 1980s. She made the moment. She changed what it meant to be a woman in country music with a voice that could quiet a room and charm the whole country. She was more than just skilled. She was brave, didn't say sorry, and was very in charge of her message and image. People loved her. People in the industry looked up to her. She seemed like she could never do anything wrong for a while. Then something changed. The lights went out slowly and almost quietly. The woman who used to rule the charts, award shows, and country TV started to fade away. Was it the fame that made them do it? A fight going on behind the scenes. Maybe the business she helped build turned its back on her. The truth? It's a lot stranger than anyone thought. This is how Barbara Mandrell at this time lives. You won't believe where her life has taken her. Getting famous at a young age. The day she was born, December 25, 1948, in Houston, Texas, was Christmas. Herbie Mandrell, a police officer who loved music, and Mary Ellen, a dedicated music teacher, had their first child, Barbara. From the start, Barbara was surrounded by melody and movement. People not only heard music in her house, they lived it. She had two younger sisters, Louise and Arlene, there when she and her family finally moved to Corpus Christi, Texas. That's where Barbara's singing roots started to grow in a more serious way. She sang a lot at home and quickly showed that she had a good sense of music. She was interested in sound, rhythm, and the fun of making music even when she was very young. It wasn't just ability that made her good at music, it was instinct. She began singing in public when she was young, and the first time she sang in front of people was at the church where her family went. She sang a lively praise song that stuck with people. She was good at more than just singing, though. Barbara was really good at singing. Because her mother taught her early on, she knew how to read music and play the organ before she even started first grade. The family moved to Oceanside, California, when she was 6 years old, where her dad opened a music shop. This gave Barbara even more chances to play instruments and get better at them. The first grade band gave her the chance to learn how to play the saxophone. She also began learning the steel guitar from a family friend around this time. At the end of her first year, she played at a music trade show in Chicago and caught the attention of country singer Joe Mackey's. This was the start of her amazing journey into country music, the big break for Barbara Mandrell's music. Barbara Mandrell found her way into country music before most people did. In 1960, when she was only 11, she went on country singer Joe Mackey's Las Vegas show and played the steel guitar so well that the crowd went crazy. Mackey saw her ability right away and got her a regular spot on the California country music TV show Town Hall Party. At first, Mandrell thought she was the only female artist in a field mostly occupied by men. But her time on the show made her realize that other women playing instruments were also making their own way. In terms of sound, in her mind, it was a turning point. Mandrell went back to Las Vegas every summer to act, and with each show she got better. By 1962, she was on tour with famous artists like Patsy Cline and Johnny Cash. Mandrell and Cline shared a hotel room during the tour because Mandrell was so young. She also played the steel guitar with greats like Red Foley, Little Jimmy Dickens, and Tex Ritter, but she was much older and more sure of herself than her years. Barbara played steel guitar in the Mandrell family band, which her parents started when she was 14. Her mother Mary played the piano, and her father Herbie sang lead. There were also two outside players in the group. One of them was drummer Ken Dudney, who would later marry Barbara. Together, the band played at military sites across the United States and included Beatles songs in their sets, which made their shows more modern and varied. Mandrell also learned to play the banjo and bass guitar during this time, adding to her artistic skills. During her teenage years, she did well in things other than singing. She was involved in school and won the title of Miss Oceanside, California, in 1965. She sang in the chorus, marched in the band, and served on the student council. She finished from high school in 1967 and married Ken Dudney soon after. It was because Mandrell wanted a quiet life at home that she quit acting and became a full-time housewife. The last show she played in with her family band was in Vietnam, where they played for American soldiers during the war. When she got home, she found that her new husband had been sent away. Because Mandrell was lonely, she went to see her folks in Nashville who had moved there and saw a show at the Grand Ole Opry. As she watched from the crowd, she had an epiphany. It wasn't her place to be here. After some time, she realized that she wasn't meant to just sit and watch. She was supposed to be on stage. She was determined to start acting again, so she found a part in a show in Printer's Alley, Nashville. Her father is now in charge of her careers. During the set, she sang and played the steel guitar. 6 record companies were interested in the performance because it was so good. Billy Sherrill, a producer for Columbia Records, was there and offered Mandrell a recording deal. By 1969, she had signed with Columbia Records and was ready to begin her career as a music artist. At the start of her singing career, Mandrell mostly did covers of R&B and soul songs. The Billboard Country chart included her first Columbia song, a cover of Otis Redding's "I've Been Loving You Too Long to Stop Now." Sherrill wrote her second song, "Playin' Around with Love," which became her first #1. In 1975, Mandrell moved to ABC Records, which was later bought by MCA. When she worked with director Tom Collins, they combined pop and country styles, which helped her reach a wider audience. "Stand Room Only," her first song with the label, went to #5 on the Billboard Country charts. After that, more hits followed, such as "Midnight Angel" and "That's What Friends Are For." With Collins' help, she added R&B parts to her sound, which made her even more marketable. Both the US and Canadian country charts went straight to the top 5 when she covered Denise LaSalle's "Married But Not to Each Other" and Shirley Brown's "Woman to Woman." "Woman to Woman" was also her first song to make it to the Billboard Hot 100. These hits were on her 6th and 7th studio records, both of which came out in 1977 and helped make her a household name in the business. Mandrell was at the top of her game with songs about cheating and complicated emotions by the late 1970s. Her first #1 country song, "Sleeping Single in a Double Bed," came out in 1978 and topped both the Billboard and RPM charts. Soon after this hit, she sang Luther Ingram's "If Loving You Is Wrong, I Don't Want to Be Right" in a seductive way that topped the country charts and made it into the top 40 of the Billboard Hot 100 in Canada. Mandrell's shows were big productions because she was now a big headliner. They had outfit changes, polished choreography, and showed off how good she was at playing many instruments, breaking new ground for women who act in country music. Even though she became very famous, not everyone liked the way her music changed in the early 1980s. Some people who didn't like her thought she had lost touch with her roots. One author said that her recordings from this time were too polished and full of filler, saying that they lost the raw realism of traditional country music. One more writer, people who looked at her 1983 record, Spun Gold, said it was a strange mix of country grit and disco glam. Even though these things were said, other people saw how powerful her songs were emotionally. Cultural critics said that many of her early 1980s hits were about real problems like money problems, broken relationships, and a strong sense of being country. People from the working class related to these topics, showing that Mandrell's music still had a place in the genre. Barb Mandrell was many things at once. She was a pioneering steel player, a soulful singer, a beautiful performer, and a woman who wasn't afraid to change. From being a child prodigy to a chart-topping star, her path was full of chances, new beginnings, and strength. And that's exactly what made her stand out. She said no to be confined. Mandrell made her mark on music history by going against what people thought she would do, and she was just as brave in her personal life. Because when it came to love, Barbara Mandrell didn't just do what everyone else did, she did it her way. Love life of Barbara Mandrell. Barbara Mandrell has had a full and interesting life off stage for as long as she has been famous. She has been married to Ken Dudney since 1967. He is a singer and former Navy pilot who was hired to play drums for the Mandrell family band. It wasn't a fairy tale at the beginning of their story, but it became one. She met Ken through singing when she was 14 and he was 21.
Ken was already married to someone else at the time.
But it was clear that his feelings were getting stronger after spending time with Barbara. He broke up with her, and their relationship only got stronger after that. Barb finished from high school with a clear idea of what she wanted to do next. That person was going to marry Ken Dudney. She once said that she was looking forward to the day they could get married. Ken gave up his job as a Navy pilot to support Barbara's rising fame when they got married, which was a big sacrifice. They built a life together, not just dreams. Matthew was their first child, born in 1970. In 1976, their daughter Jamie came along. Nathan, their youngest boy, joined the family in 1985. While Barbara's name was on billboards and at award shows, stayed by her side behind the scenes, helping to raise their kids and deal with the fame demands. The Mandrell family was in the news again in 1988. It wasn't about music this time though. The Fontanelle is a stunning log house mansion that they built in the Tennessee Hills. The biggest log house in the world was that one. It had 6 bedrooms, 13 bathrooms, 2 kitchens, 5 fireplaces, and even a pad for a helicopter. After many years, Barbara sold the estate. It was then turned into a famous tourist spot with a hotel, restaurant, music venue, and even an indoor shooting range. Before she quit her job to help people who are dealing with addiction find hope and healing, Cammie worked there for a while as the human resources manager. At first glance, they looked like the ideal American family, based on faith, clothes, and successful. Behind the pretty homes and happy faces, though, there was a terrible event that broke their hearts. What a sad story Barbara Mandrell's life was. Barbara Mandrell's life took a terrible turn on September 11, 1984. The country star was driving near her home in Nashville with her 2 kids when she was in a terrible head-on accident. The crash happened in an instant, but she would remember how it made her feel for years. Mark White, a college student who was 19 years old, was sadly killed right away. The police report says that White's car went over the center line and hit Mandrell's Jaguar XJ. Her 2 kids got away with only minor injuries and were sent home from the hospital right away. But Barbara wasn't as lucky. Her injuries were very bad and changed her life. They got a serious concussion that damaged their brain temporarily and broke their femur. They also hurt their ankle and knee. After that, the actual pain wouldn't go away. A lot of it was focused on her knee, which had been hurt badly. She pushed herself every day to do more than the day before. She was having a hard time with physical treatment and wouldn't let her injury define her. The blow to the head was even more confusing. It changed her memory and even how she felt about herself. She had trouble getting back in touch with who she was before the accident for a while. If she talked about herself, she would say things like, "That was her," or "She did that," as if the Barbara Mandrell who was in charge of the stage belonged to someone else. In more than a year, her body would be fully better, and in almost 3, her brain would be fully better. She said that the pain in her ankle was still there decades later. What kept her and her kids from dying that day? A simple choice made at the last minute. Just before the crash, Barbara saw kids playing in the back seat of a closed-moving car without their seatbelts on. She told her kids to buckle up and did the same thing herself because she was scared by what she saw. The small thing they did to be safe saved their lives. After that, she became very interested in seatbelts. Over the next few years, she became a strong supporter of seatbelt safety.